connect. Go. Hey, folks, Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal, and I've got Asheebo Rojas with the Chatham News and Record. Here's the agenda for today. Every Thursday at noontime, we give you a Chatham NC Sports Roundup. It's primarily high school sports because that's what's going on in the county. As you can see, we're going to talk about last week's football games. Northwood won their first game. Got games coming up this Friday. The big game for that's going to be Jordan Matthews versus Chatham Central right here in Chatham County. Then everybody's favorite, Asheebo's football power rankings. And then we're going to get into the stories that Asheebo's got in a newspaper coming out today. Then, of course, the athlete of the week, one that people are always looking for. And we'll wrap up on volleyball, soccer, cross country, and tennis. And we will have informal power rankings on the volleyball and soccer as well. And then, as you can see, make sure to follow Asheebo on Asheebo R20. It's 28 or 38. It's 38, isn't it?
38, yep.
38. See there, I got to fix that on the thing. It's 38. Just make sure to follow him on X. All right, let me get out of here, and we're going to go into Mr. Asheebo. Give us a review roundup of last week's Friday night Chatham County High School football games.
Yeah, so we had plenty of great football going on. The biggest thing from Friday night was Dalton Brown at Northwood, the head coach there, getting his first career win as a head coach and first win at his alma mater for the Chargers. So congrats to Coach Brown. And we talked to him, and he talked about how this was kind of like a full circle Pittsburgh moment. Was a quote he gave us, just being able to come back to the community where he was raised and where he played high school football, coming in, leading their football program, and getting that win over Northmore was a big moment there. And it was also in front of the East Chatham Chargers cheerleaders and youth football players as well. So really big, like you said, full circle moment for him. And just starting with Northwood, I mean, they had the best performance from any of the Chatham County schools on Friday. They really got the run game going in that game against Northmore. And really actually a balanced attack because we saw them, get some passes off down to Rojas Torres, some passing gains that helped move the chains. But really, I mean, the rushing attack between Robert Tripp and Grayson Cox, they got it done against Northmore. And the defense also stepped up in a really big way, something that they've done the past couple weeks for Northwood, just really doing well with limiting teams' ability to run and really pass as well. And that really lifted them in that win, 33-13 over Northmore, team that runs that option and the wing T offense that can be so confusing, just reading the ball. So they prepared well for that. They did a good job of stopping it outside of a few long runs. But yeah, Northwood picked up a big win on Friday, and then they'll have Southeast Alamance tomorrow at Southeast Alamance at 7:00. So another tough game for Northwood as they try to build some momentum here in conference play after their first conference win. And then Jordan Matthews, I went to their game on Friday and watched that one in person. They lost to Cummings 55-8. And in that one, I mean, I know Jordan Matthews was dealing with some injuries, big ones to Kenneth Dula and Rashad McSwain, two-way players that are, really impactful for the Jets. And they only trailed that game 7-0. They got an interception from Lennox Mordecai, the freshman, who stepped in to that corner spot to fill in for Dula. And, they played well to start as Cummings, still, the teams are still trying to, figure each other out and get going in the game. But once Cummings got going in that second quarter, I mean, they just kept rolling. Some special teams mistakes for Jordan Matthews helped too, like a kickoff that was kind of left on the ground and recovered by Cummings that gave them the ball just already within the 10. And then I think they also had a block punt that was returned for a touchdown in that quarter as well. So the game really got out of hand in the second quarter, and the Jordan Matthews just couldn't recover. So, Jordan Matthews could have Dula back this Friday. Don't know about McSwain, but I think if they're healthier, they should do a lot better against Chatham Central this week in that big rivalry game. We'll talk more about that game later on. And then speaking of Chatham Central, they played Southeast Alamance on Friday. They lost that one 69-0, and they just couldn't get anything going offensively in that one. I'm looking at some of the stats from that game on Max Preps. I mean, they had 13 plays go for negative yards, including 3 sacks, and then turnovers were an issue. Then they threw an interception and lost 4 fumbles in that game, which doesn't help with winning at all. So I mean, both teams, Jordan Matthews and Chatham Central, look for a better showing on Friday, like we said, as they meet for another edition of the big rivalry game here in Chatham County.
Let me ask you this. I know you were at that game, but then you came over because that game landed up with a running clock, but you came over to Northwood and you had an opportunity. You talked to and you interviewed Northwood's quarterback, Grayson Cox. So what were some of the things you learned from Grayson and what were some of the questions you asked him in that post-game interview?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to ask him about, the ability to bounce back from the Union Pines game. 7 interceptions. I know that could be rough on a high school quarterback and the offense as a whole. And the way he came back, just forgot about it. I think he said his dad, Randy Cox, the lacrosse coach at Northwood, had told him, I think it's 3, 2, 1, kind of just let it go. Gave him some advice on how to forget about those down moments. And he really looked at his team in that game against Northmore on the ground, through the air, just really proving to be a true leader that we saw a little bit of last year when he filled in for Carson Fortunes and still got the job done. So Grayson is, one of the more talented players in the county at the quarterback position and in football as a whole. So just talking to him, learning about his ability to bounce back as a leader and help his team just kind of forget about that performance. I know that was a tough team they played. To forget about that performance and just move forward, come out there and get that big win. He also, him and the team also felt really proud to be able to get that win for Coach Brown. I mean, I know Coach Brown, kind of said this is their win, this is his players' win, but they were also willing to return the favor. He got the game ball, and I mean, the players are really excited for him. So, yeah, learned great things about Grayson, great player, and like I said, a great leader for Northwood.
Yeah, he also plays lacrosse as well. And yeah, not only did Coach get the game ball, and not only did he get the bucket of water on him, but they were squirting water all over the place. I have to make sure I kept my camera dry. So there's video out on that. A couple things before we go on. I'm at 79 West today at their podcast center. They're real nice to let me use that. And then the other thing, too, is thank you for everybody who's watching it. We had over 600 folks watch us on Facebook last week, and we had 200 folks on X. So that's fine. And we're also on YouTube. And right now we've got 15 of you folks watching us. So really appreciate it. Most people watch us after lunch, which is fine. All right, Asheebo, you ready to go into the games on Friday? We got 3 games. Let's start off with the Northwood game, get into the Seaforth game, and then let's finish up with the big in-county game between the 2 local teams. So go for it.
Yeah, Northwood and Southeast Alamance. In the paper, we got the football recap and a little bit of a preview of next week. So you guys can read a little bit more about this game. But, I mean, Southeast Alamance is a really good team. I think right now they're first in the conference, 3-0 overall record, 1-0 record in conference play after that win over Chatham Central. And, yeah, just a really talented team that surprised people last year with a younger squad. There's their first ever football season as the school had just opened. Now they have more experience. They also remember that game against Northwood last year when Northwood got rolling and beat them 55-9. So I'm sure that's going to be in the back of their heads. And this time is at their house at Southeast Alamance. This will be a really tough game for Northwood. And I think we'll learn a lot about the Chargers and where they kind of stand in the conference. If they're able to go into Southeast Alamance and beat this team who was, pretty much found no problem being able to spread the ball around and also stop their opponents on the defensive end. So, I think here in the story I have, teams have only averaged 11 points against Southeast Alamance this year. So I think the key there is Northwood's offense, being able to build off of last week and get their run game going, get Robert Tripp going, and also, get some more looks in the passing game, which I think they'll probably need against Southeast Alamance as well. So I think it'll be a close game in my eyes. I think Northwood does have what it takes to go in there and win that game. But Southeast Alamance, I mean, this is a really good team. It looks like, they're starting the season kind of on a mission here and really want to stay in the front of the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A conference standing. So this is a game I think will have big implications in that and who wins this conference. Yeah, I mean, really, really interesting to see what Northwood can do against that team on Friday. And then for Seaforth and Graham, I think I talked about this a little bit in this story as well. I mean, Seaforth, I think this will be kind of a tune-up game for them. It's actually kind of a perfect matchup to come into this game after taking 2 weeks off due to the bye and the canceled game. I think Seaforth, having 2 weeks to kind of tune up that offense in practice. The defense, like we talked about, showed out against Westover, and I think their defense will be fine. I do think Seaforth will win this game handily like they did last year. And I think hopefully this game will help instill some confidence in their offense that struggled against Westover. So, I think this will just be a tune-up game for Seaforth, and they should be able to take this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think Graham's going to come out on the short end of this. I hope and I suspect that a lot of C4 players will get to play in this game. So, which leads into the big intra-county game on Friday night over in Siler City. I want you to go into it.
Yeah, when I look at this matchup, I mean, this last year, this gave us, one of the closest games, one of the best, most exciting games in the county all year. And I think we have a good chance of seeing kind of a similar thing this year. This time we got Nick Glover. He's not on the Jets. He's with the Bears. So that will be interesting to look at. Just seeing, Brendan Oldham as well, seeing what he can do in this type of rivalry game that, to build on what he's already done in the first couple of weeks with the scrimmages and what he's done on the defensive line. So this will be a really, really good game. I think Jordan Matthews, they've shown, and when they're healthy, that they can be, they play pretty well together when they're healthy. And even in that game against Cummings, when they got some of their older guys in at the end, they were still able to find some positive plays and some positive things out of that game. I think this game also comes down to the wire like it did last year. I'm hoping for another exciting finish like last year where they had the Chatham Central was driving. The ball was knocked down in the end zone in the final play, and that ended it. I don't know, Gene. Which way do you think this one might can go?
Oh man, how can you ask me that question? My feeling on this one is it's going to be close. I figure, like you said, North was going to have an issue with Southeast Alamance. Southeast Alamance is strong. Seaforth should beat Graham without any problems. But on this one, come on, you got two coaches that are sitting there, 1-2, 1-2, and one of them is going to be 2-2, and the other one's going to be 1-3. And I mean, you and I have seen both these programs last year, and we're seeing them this year. I think this probably, you know what, if you got money to spend to go see a game, this would be a game to see, because both of them are just playing. Both of them have upped their games. You got Coach Little against Coach Carter. Kermit. Every time I call him Coach Kermit, I think of Kermit the Frog. But I think it's going to be a great game. And the other thing, Derek, I want to make a call out to you. I know you're going to be there, so look up Asheebo and I. We're both going to be there. I'll be taking pictures. Asheebo will be down on the sidelines. I'll also be shooting some video, and we've done this with Asheebo before. We might have him make some comments as well while we're shooting the videos, and then we'll put them out there, because kids don't just want to see pictures anymore. They also like to see videos. So I don't know who's going to win this one. Do you know who's going to win this one, Asheebo?
I got a feeling if Jordan Matthews gets some guys back, like Kenneth Dula, I don't know about Rashad McSwain, like I said, but I think if they get some guys back, kind of just forget about last week, because they were able to get some young guys some experience last week as well, like Lennox Mordecai, which would be big. Now he's coming into this game with a little bit more confidence, knowing how that varsity game has gone. He did some good things for Jordan Matthews. I do think I'm going to take Jordan Matthews in this one, but I think Chatham Central can also, both teams can definitely win this game, because like I said, it's going to be tight. But I think the key for Chatham Central will be finding offense outside of Nick Glover and finding ways to have him get the ball to some of his other weapons. Because if you're just relying on Nick, it's really easy to predicate, what the offense is doing. So they got Luke Gaines in the receiving core that they can utilize. They got some really good running backs. I think if they can establish a run game against Jordan Matthews, they can fight their way to a win in this one. But yeah, I mean, I know last year when Coach Brian Johnson was with Jordan Matthews, he talked about that win was restoring order in the county. I think the year before last year, Chatham Central did get Jordan Matthews. So Jordan Matthews looking for 2 in a row in the series. Chatham Central is looking to restore the order in the county. If they want to take that saying from last year, I don't know, but whatever order in the county is where it's supposed to be, the teams will figure it out on Friday. So we'll see.
All right, let me ask you this other question because we're going to get into the power rankings next. Is the winner of this game on Friday between JM and Chatham Central, is that going to be the higher power ranked team? Or as you said last week, it does not just depend on the games. There's other variables. But right now, can you give people a hint, or are you not going to say anything till next Thursday?
Well, this is a head-to-head. So I'd have to say with both teams coming in with same records, the same records, 1 and 2, head-to-head, this is the ultimate test of who is the better team for right now. And yeah, I would say whoever wins gets the nod in the power rankings.
All right, folks, you heard it here today. Next Thursday, we'll see who's going to move up in the power rankings. Is it going to be JM or is it going to be Chatham Central? All right, let's get into your power rankings for this week.
Yep. Actually, this week with Seaforth not playing, they had a bye. Jordan Matthews and Chatham Central both taking tough losses in this one. And Northwood coming out with a strong win. We didn't get a change in the power rankings this week. It's still the same as last week. We have Seaforth at 4, Chatham Central at 3, Jordan Matthews at 2, and Northwood at 1. So not many changes from last week in our results. But with Seaforth playing this week, getting to see what they look like against Graham and kind of what they come out with on offense. Chatham Central and Jordan Matthews, of course, going head to head, seeing who can come out on top. And then Northwood having a really tough game against Southeast Alamance. I mean, there could be some changes in the power rankings. But yeah, that's what we have for this week, same as last week, and we'll see what happens on Friday.
All right, I gotta say this. I'm monitoring this on our Facebook page as well. We've got comments that made the best team win. Derek, of course, is locked. And actually, here's the comment. He says, the order is restored in reference to your comment, and there's 2 smiley faces. 2 smiley faces. So, Derek, definitely look us up at Friday night game. Rivalry week, this will be fun. All love as well. And, Derek, you are right. These are the kind of games that folks show up in the county. And the thing is, the stadium at JM's got plenty of room for JM folks and plenty of room for Chatham Central folks. So come on out, enjoy the game. Afterwards, go and grab something to eat, or before the game, go and grab something to eat. But I think the other nice thing is the weather forecast initially said rain for Friday night. Right now, it looks like that rain's not going to come in until Saturday. So it's a chance to be able to see a good Friday night high school game right here in Chatham County. So I'm not trying to play them up, but it's always nice to see when we have two local teams playing against each other. And I know the coaches are up for it and the kids are up for it. And I know Derek's up for it as well. So thanks for making all the comments on Facebook. Brady's on there as well. So Tiffany's on there. Oh, Tiffany makes high school football fun. And you're right, Tiffany. It does make high school football fun when you have 2 county schools playing against each other. But I will quit rambling because it's now time for the next part. Do we have anything else to say about power ranking before you get into what stories you have in the paper today?
Not yet, but let me take one break right quick, G, and I'll be right back.
Right. So Asheebo's taking a break, which leaves me here by myself. So let's see he's got coming up. What's coming up in the Chatham News and Record paper that comes out today. We've also got the Athlete of the Week, which is a regular feature. We're going to talk about volleyball. From what I've seen right now from volleyball, unofficially, Seaforth still on top of the heap. Last week, you also had a game between Chatham Central. We had a game between Chatham Central and Northwood in volleyball. Chatham Central won the first 2 sets, Northwood won the first 2 sets, and then Chatham Central came and won the last 3 sets to win that game. So it's competitive there. I would say Chatham Central unofficially, on my power ranking, would be number 2, after Seaforth. And Asheebo's back. So Asheebo, why don't we talk about what's in the paper and then get into your athlete of the week?
Yeah. So in the paper this week, we have the story game against Northmore and Dalton Brown's first win. What happened in that game and what Dalton Brown had to say about getting that win there at his alma mater. Of course, we have our Chatham County football recap with the recap of the games last Friday and a little bit of a preview for tomorrow. We have our regular sports recap with all the different sports: volleyball, boys soccer, girls tennis. Recaps of what happened during the week and some conference standings in those. And then we also have a story from Jordan Matthews, their boys soccer win over East Randolph last Wednesday. Just more on that, and they're on a 3-game win streak. So, just they're really picking it up here in conference play. That's kind of what head coach Paul Crodgels told me after that first game of the season. I think they had lost 8-0, and he was like, we'll be fine during conference play, and that's showing so far. And we also have tomorrow, it's going to be online tomorrow, but it's out on the paper today. Callie O'Neill, local soccer player. If you've followed along our coverage past couple months, Callie O'Neill has made the news a little bit for her stints with Team USA, going and playing overseas, and she's announced her commitment to UNC women's soccer program last week. So big accomplishment for Callie O'Neill. Congrats to her on that accomplishment and joining, the most prestigious program in women's soccer on the college level. So, yeah, that's what we have in the paper this week. And then athlete of the week is Robert Tripp from the Northwood game. I mean, he just had a really, really great game in that one, run the ball all over the place. I think he had 2 touchdowns on the ground and 1 in the air. I mean, two long runs. And, of course, the swing pass from Grayson Cox there early in the game that put the Northwood on the board. So, all-around great grade from Robert Tripp, and looking forward to him and Grayson having a big game against Southeast Alamance on Friday.
Yeah, I know Robert's grandma is really happy to see him do well because she's one of his biggest fans. So congratulations to Asheebo's athlete of the week. It's not my athlete of the week. He's the one who picks him out and writes about him and gets him in the paper. All right, are we ready to rock into? Let's see. Do you want to hit high school soccer first or volleyball first?
We can talk about volleyball.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, recently this week, I know, Gene. I heard you talking about the scores a little bit when I came back, but on the 9th, we had Northwood losing to Southern Alamance 3-0. But just a recap of this week so far. I mean, Seaforth once again dominating in the conference. They get the 3-0 win over BY, and then I think they also won over. Can't remember. I didn't have it written down, but they also had picked up another win this week. So they're still rolling here in conference play. And then we also have Chatham Central. They did lose in Northmore. So, they've fallen a little bit in the conference standings, but still having a great season. Jordan Matthews got their first win of the year over Graham, 3-0. And Chatham Charter and Woods Charter. I mean, Woods Charter has really picked it up in conference play as well. They're now leading their conference, I think, with a 5-0 conference record, if I believe, right now. Chatham Charter, I think, is still at the 2 spot. So those 2 schools are charter schools in the county are doing pretty well in volleyball in their conference. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing some good things with volleyball this year. It's looking like we might have a lot of teams in the playoffs as far as Chatham Charter, Woods Charter, and Seaforth and Chatham Central. So, yep, that's what we have for volleyball this week.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think we're going to see several teams in the state playoffs, so that's a good thing to look forward to, as well as the rest of the season. Still, we're not anywhere done with volleyball here in the county yet. All right, how about soccer? What's going on there?
Yeah, soccer. I know, Gene. I don't know if you talked about it a little bit already, but the biggest game of the week was that Jordan Matthews and Northwood game. Jordan Matthews won that one 3-1. But we also saw some other good things from Seaforth. They got a big 3-2 win over Cummings in that game. Woods Charter, they did lose 8-1 to Raleigh Charter on the 9th. Chatham Charter still rough going for the Knights there. But Jordan Matthews also got another big conference win, 2-1 win over Northmore. And, I mean, like I said, they're rolling in conference play so far, kind of a little bit like last year. Not as dominant as last year just yet. I mean, last year they were running through the conference, beating teams 9-0, you know, by blowouts. But they're getting these wins even with that young team, which is just – I talked about a little bit in the story from Wednesday. It's really helped build the confidence of this team. They're starting to gel, play more together. I know Francisco Ibarra said that, you know, they're starting to become friends now with the seniors and the freshmen on the team coming together, which is a good sign, especially now when these games matter. They count towards playoffs and seeding and conference standing. So, yeah, Jordan Matthews picking it up here in conference play. And, of course, the big game, which we'll talk about later as far as, you know, the games we'll be going to, but I'll be at Seaforth and I'll be at Northwood for their game against Seaforth on Monday. Big conference game, of course, rivalry game. But I see two teams that are, you know, pretty evenly matched and both looking for big wins to move up in the conference ranks and you know, build some momentum for their season as it continues.
Yeah, I think there's good stuff to see. Yeah, I'll be there taking pictures on Monday night for that game as well. Okay, let's get into cross country and tennis.
Yeah, so last week in girls tennis, I mean, Chatham Charter is still undefeated. I think this week they've moved up to 9-0. I think they finished last week 7-0, and they got picked up wins over Southeast Alamance. I mean, no, not Southeast Alamance. Triangle Math and Science won that one 5-4. They also beat Southern Wake Academy 9-0. And then Seaforth, they did lose to Chapel Hill 5-4. Tough team they went up against, but they've been pretty dominant in conference play so far. And then, yeah, I mean, Chatham Central, Jordan Matthews, not the best year so far for them, but like I said, I mean, Chatham Charter, they're looking like the team to beat here in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference, one of the best teams maybe in the 1A East side. So, and I mean, they did really good things last year in the playoffs. I mean, looking forward to see what they can do again this year. Maybe, you know, secure another some more state titles and have some more players playing for state titles after a good season last year. And then cross country, just from last week, we had Seaforth and Northwood racing in the Friday Night Lights cross country festival this past Friday. I think in the boys standings, Seaforth finished 12th. They have 418 points. Northwood finished 30th, and this is out of 36 teams. Northwood had junior Jordan Wiley finishing first. Well, not first in the race, but he finished first for the team, finished in 22nd place with a time of 16 minutes and 53.1 seconds. For Seaforth, their freshman Samuel Neal was the first hawk to cross the finish line, finishing 26th with a time of 17 minutes and 0.6 of a second. And in the girls' race, Seaforth placed 12th, Northwood placed 20th out of 34 teams. And that one, Julia Hall for Northwood, she's a senior. She led Northwood with a 26th best time of 20 minutes and 18.3 seconds. And then Sydney Gray, who was our athlete of the week, I think it's last week or the week before, she finished 13 spots behind her with a time of 20 minutes and 48.9 seconds. And then for Seaforth, their first finisher was the 52nd best time from Claire Morgan, 21 minutes and 16.1 seconds. So some pretty good things. I think that the cross-country season is still, you know, kind of in its early stages, just now getting kicked off here. So definitely looking forward to seeing some good things from Seaforth and Northwood and some of our other schools as well, like Jordan Matthews, that also have some pretty good runners on their team.
Anything else to cover before we get into where you and I are going to be for the rest of this week and into Monday?
Nope, I think we got it all.
All right, folks, reminder, follow Asheebo on X at AsheeboR38. I do the Chatham NC Sports X account, and we kind of cross-post as well. But the nice thing, if you follow Asheebo on there, is when he's out at a game, he'll do some live tweets. Can't call them live X's, live tweets during the games. And he's also, hey, you know, he follows up and has interviews with coaches and players. So definitely Asheebo's out there beyond just what you see in print. But don't forget to pick up a paper as well. All right, so Asheebo, you and I are going to be at the big Chatham County football game on Friday in Siler City. Is that correct?
Yep. We're at Jordan Matthews. Yep.
And then what are we doing on Monday?
Then Monday, like I said, I'll be at Northwood for the Seaforth and Northwood boys soccer match. I think that was at 6:30. So, yep, that's a big one in the county. Want to have that one in the paper. I'm gonna have a story for that one next week because rivalry game, like I said, even match teams looking for a big conference win. I think that one could have a lot of emotions coming out of that one.
Right, and the thing different at Northwood this year, that game's at Northwood, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, the different thing at Northwood this year compared to last year is you do have the soccer field, and they have moved the seating up to where you're off of the road and being able to look down. They poured a concrete platform to be able, or cement platform, whichever you prefer, to put that that seating on there, so you've got a nice view on it. And the other thing too is the Booster Club went ahead and now has a concession trailer out there, so it's easier to get more options if you want to munch out while you're watching the soccer game going on. So that's it for this Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday again. If you're out at the Jordan Matthews versus Chatham Central game, feel free to say, hey, we'll love to meet you folks. And then on Monday, we'll be at Northwood versus Seaforth at Northwood in Pittsburgh. Anything else, Asheebo?
Nope, I think we're all good.
All right. Hey, folks, thanks for watching. I'll let other folks know that we're on there. If you happen to watch, give us a like or a thumbs up. It helps with our algorithms, and we'll see you